All right, homies, let me explain something. I just spent the first half of my workout just bare bones eating shit. Let's just be real. I feel like this whole week, I'm getting used to the volume. I was talking to you guys about this back and forth, like really trying my best to really discover a good baseline, get my core as strong as possible to build it back up to where it was in the past, and, reinvent how strong my core can be at the same time. And there's going to be times where you're either plateauing just because it happens sometimes, or you're plateauing or decreasing in progress because you're doing something wrong. This is the whole thing with trial and error. You got to accept the fact that no matter how hard you try or how perfect you think your program is or how much you follow it to a T, it's not always going to work, especially not the way that you think it may have in the first place. Or sometimes it can work really well and then kick you in the ass the next week. And this is the week that I'm on. I'm in the kick-ass week where I'm hitting a burnout really hard. Not just like in a mental way, but like the Olympic lifts are not moving, just straight to it. Like you guys saw the last snatches I was doing on the last workout, and the clean and jerks but the day before that weren't good either, The snatches still haven't gotten back to anything like really consistent either way. Like nothing has consistently gotten better when it comes to my explosiveness, my stability, how hard I can whip the barbell in my Olympic lifts. Now, vice versa, my power lifts, my squats and my bench have never done better. I'm trying to sit here and I'm just like, why the hell can I squat more than I'm used to or more than I expected myself to be able to do with better technique and more stability? Because my front squats and my clean pulls went great today, And the whole time sitting here, I'm trying to figure out, like, what middle ground do I need to meet? Like, how can I compromise with myself to, add in the things that I need, but at the same time, the things that make it fun, the things that make me want to come back and keep working on it because I can see that it's progressing. I don't need to get heavier numbers right away. I don't need to make insane visual progress in the moment. I just want to feel like I'm making progress, and I felt stagnant this whole week. When I should be very prepped based off of my theory, And what I have deduced it to, that I've been through this before, I got a good head about it, but doing the same volume every set is a very good thing when it comes to consistency, core strength, all around, just keeping it as strong and as good technically as possible. When it comes to the power lifts, the squats and the bench and my pulls, because that's how I treat my pulls. They're an accessory lift. When it comes to the Olympic lifting, when it's whipping the full barbell and the full body hard as hell movement, doing a triple or a double every single set, no matter how light the warm-up, is not working. It's worked once in the past when I was hitting my one of my biggest peaks. But that, again, I've mentioned it before, that was when I was basically doing nothing throughout the day but lifting. I could just sleep, eat, lift, go to bed, That was it. So I had a lot more energy to burn. I do night shift now. I got a lot of work on my plate, and I'm not going to be able to hold it at the same level as I did before when it comes to my fatigue. How much energy I actually have to whip it as much as I want to, because it's not so much about the strength anymore, because like my core is obviously strong enough. It's quite literally just the main muscle groups are not strong enough to whip it consistently. The core confidence is there, but now for the first time in a long time, I'm lacking in my main muscle groups, which honestly I prefer, because that's a lot easier to turn around than rebuilding your entire core. That's why I started doing all this volume, because I have not been consistently working the way that I wanted to. So what I'm getting at, or at least at what I have decided that I think would be the best, including another addition, a little special guest appearance within my lifts, is on every Olympic day, even on the heavy days like today and my last heavy day on snatch in the beginning of the week, the warm-up sets need to be 1 rep because of how much volume I do in my working set. And it's like, the best way I could just describe it to other people is, because I do hook grip with no straps, I have to put the barbell back down every time I do a rep. I have to drop it back to the floor and fully reset back up, So doing that every single warm-up set takes a lot of energy. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, you're only doing 2 reps. That's nothing. I'm like, okay, think about it this way. If you were to do a set of back squat, let's say a set of 5, nothing too bad. It's decent, but not too much volume. If you were going to do a set of 5 on back squat, imagine it, but every single rep, you do the walkout, you squat, you put the barbell back on the rack, and then you immediately reset, pick the barbell back up, do your walkout, squat again. Your set of 5 is going to feel like a set of fucking 20, That's the constant resetting the core that makes it difficult, resetting the technique, resetting how able your body is and ready it is to explode off the ground. And by that second or third rep on Olympic lifts, I'm beat to a pulp on even just a single working set. So doing it every warm-up set has not progressed the way I wanted it to. However, let's not get ahead of ourselves. It did build my core in a good way. My core's strong as shit right now. You'll see it. I got the 275 double today, which again is very, not disappointing. I'm not going to be disappointed in myself, but it's very weak from where I know I'm at. Because my front squat, overhead squat, and back squat, and bench press are all going up exponentially with this new programming. So those are good where they're at. But the Olympic lifts, I was throwing 295 like it was nothing a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And I've done a 295 triple on clean and jerk. Snatches, I've tripled 245 and thrown 2+ plates like it's nothing. So it doesn't make sense that I'm losing this much progress so quickly, And it's not that I'm just growing slowly. I am not exponentially growing at all. 275 was barely a baseline for what I should have been hitting today on a heavy double day, And the only reason I couldn't go to 275 on my last clean and jerk recovery day was because I was so burnt out that it wouldn't whip, Like I felt strong enough to do it. I just couldn't get under the barbell confidently enough to go up. So when I wanted to get to the point where 275 and 205 on clean and jerk and snatch are warm-up weights again, because that's what they were, back when I was very, very prepped. And so this made me think back to when I was doing my, I've talked about it, my past 3 to 6 months of fuck around, find out, top heavy singles of really difficult technical reps, whether I'm pausing at the knee for 3 seconds, doing a pause above the knee, then back down to the ground, and then whip it all the way, just stuff like that. Pausing in the dip and drive and the split jerk, doing a slow tempo descent on my squat, stuff like that. Just coming up with things that are really fun. They get the passion going really heavily because I don't know what I can do, and I'm just testing the technique by itself with no worry about how strong I am. And I know that for a fact, the Olympic technique accessories that I did made me so prepped. Those made me feel the most confident when it came to my technique, core strength, and lockout. It didn't help my overall strength, but that's what the squats are for. And so doing the singles on squats and on the Olympic lifts is where I tanked it, Keeping the Olympic accessories where they were for their top heavy singles on the recovery days, and then on my heavy days doing triples and doubles and singles on the peak week, that was what was working for Olympic lifts. On my power lifts like squats and bench, I just need to, I tell people all the time, when it comes to strictly power lifts like squat, bench, deadlift, whatever, if you want to get stronger, you just have to do it more, Just do more, like either do more reps or come in more days to do that lift, If I wanted to get stronger at bench faster, I would decrease the weight a little bit and do a ton of sets, burn out really, really hard on bench and then keep going twice a week. I would get stronger in bench, but it would tank the rest of my Olympic lifting. Vice versa, if I wasn't Olympic lifting in the first place, I could keep doing the low volume I'm doing right now and then just come in 4 times a week instead of 2. And I promise you, I'd get stronger so quick. So quick. Same for squats. You don't need to do a bunch of crazy accessory shit unless your form or your mobility or stability is not good. But I'm good in all those departments. I just need the reps. I just need the consistency in my core strength, and my explosiveness out of the hole. Whew. So, the fun, fully revised, we're figuring it out kind of program, because I know I've been saying, give the program a chance. Let it build up. I did, and I know it's not the full cycle like I wanted it to be, but I'm telling you, I've been doing this long enough, I can tell when I'm declining. Not because I didn't pick up the weights that I wanted to, but the only time in this entire workout today where I felt that smidget, that phantom but kind of real pain, that stiffness in my left quad tendon that I've been pain-free of for a while now, came back the moment I hit that second rep on 275. And if you see it, and if you rewind it, you see my core dips You know, I have a butt wink. My delts are trying to fall. And I stand up really quick because my core strength is there. But the stability and the main muscle group strength was not there. The fatigue was too high to catch it where I needed to and whip it as vertically as I could, you know? The split jerk was ugly as fuck, but we're not going to talk about that, you know? Anyway. So, the heavy snatch, heavy clean and jerks will be still, like, I'll go every week, like, do triples, then doubles, then singles. But the warm-ups will be singles, because that's what they got to be for how much I'm working in and out of the gym. You know, that's just where my fatigue is at. The recovery Olympic days will be the hard but very, very high passionate, very fun, technical accessory lifts that make my explosiveness technique and if I'm struggling on a certain part of my lift, like how I'm struggling with getting a good enough catch and getting under the barbell fast enough, I can focus on pause reps. I can focus on slow tempo at the first pull kind of reps. It's any of that kind of stuff, you know? Like snatches, I don't pause when I catch a snatch. You know, I can't really sit in the hole very well. So forcing myself to pause in the hole will actually make me get there quicker so that I have a consistent lockout and I know I have it. Because if you land, but then you have to squat deeper or move around a little bit, it's going to fall because you have to stop. So it's stuff like that. I can actually focus on the things I've been struggling with without going too heavy because it's so technically difficult that I can't go too heavy. As long as I, again, adhere to what my body needs, you know? Not going to the point of I'm screaming my fucking heart out and killing myself over these weights. I'm just talking about going really consistently hard, you know? Good form. The technique's exactly where I want it to be. I'm not straining myself as hard as I can because then I can do the recovery lift and then the squats and the bench and the pulls will all stay the same, you know? Same exact rep volume every single set no matter the warm-up because that's where the consistency's coming in. Because it's either that or the warm-ups need to be single reps, and then I'd need to do several sets on my working set. But again, I think when it comes to squats or bench or pulls or whatever, I think that you need to have enough volume in your warm-ups to consistently hit those top weights, you know? Because then it's going to end up being a thing where you do all these warm-ups that don't fully work your core how they need to throughout the consistency of the set. And then that first working set's going to be horrible, and you're going to get better as you go. But you should start at 100 and then slowly lose strength, but keep it as consistent as you can, you know? It shouldn't be a reverse pyramid when you just started the working set. But anyway, that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm going to start implementing this now because I know that it's what I need to do, and I think that the sooner I do it, especially on a week like this week where I still have volume to do, it'll be safer. And then next week is going to be my all singles week, so then I can play a little bit, see where the strength is really at, but not go too hard. Because again, I'm not prepped at all. I'm messing around. I'm figuring out what works best for me in a very short amount of time, so I can't push it as hard as I want right now, you know? If it feels good enough and the technique is great, and as long as I'm not overly straining my body in a way that injures it again, we'll go up. But it's not going to be, you know, I feel like I can maybe whip it as hard as I can and die under the barbell and maybe I'll get it. You know, I'm not going to do that kind of a rep. It is not worth it at all. But I'm so excited because this is the thing. You need to be excited to come to the gym. You have to be. Because if you don't give a shit enough and you aren't excited to get this shit done the way that you really, really want to make growth, you won't make growth. That's why I've been so stagnant in my Olympic lifts. My squats and bench and my pulls are moving great because the volume and consistency is helping those lifts specifically. They're not helping the Olympic lifts. And I've been ignoring that for the past week and a half because I wanted to see if it could work. But it's not. I've only decreased in confidence and lost that consistent growth as it compares to my squats, you know, because my squat's going at this rate, but then my Olympic lifts being stagnant does not make sense. The better you squat, the heavier you should be able to do on Olympic lifting. So it's just my fatigue, you know. But we're gonna get better. You got to be happy and excited to go. You know, the hardest part especially when you're starting going to the gym for the first time, is getting in your car and going. You know, it's that initial. I've got to get myself up. I got to get there. Because once you're there, you got to do something. Even if it doesn't go exactly the way you thought it would, you're there, you know? You're going to do something now that you've made the effort to get out of the house and move. So, I'm very excited. And let me tell you, I really brought it back. The front squats and the clean pulls went extremely well. Did not expect to get 3 plates on front squat, and then 385 on clean pulls felt really, really good. You know, it looked like I could have gone up to 4 plates, but I could feel my butt trying to get a little bit higher than it needed to. So I didn't want to push it with the technique starting to limit itself. But again, I'm now able to stop myself before the technique goes, but still make gains. That's the goal. So that's where I need to get Olympic lifting. So I'm not going to be doing some crazy like triples or doubles when it comes to the recovery days if I'm doing the hardest technique I can, but it will be very, very comfortable top singles so that I can be fully prepped for not only the bench and squats that I do on those days without overworking myself, but also being able to come back and go as heavy as I want on the heavy days that are meant to be heavy. Oh, because let me tell you, I took a break. I talked to some homies after I did the clean and jerks. I was very upset about it. I was not in the right mindset to keep going with the passion that I needed. And I took a second, I rethought it all, I came up with all this new fun ideas, and I got myself passionate enough to give it my best effort regardless of the weight on the front squats and the clean pulls based off the progress I'm excited to make in the future program that I haven't even started. That's something special. Being able to go as hard as you want and feel good and bring it back. My knee felt better by the end of the workout because I got my technique together and could do it consistently. And it's based off the passion for something that I'm not even doing right this moment. That's something special. You're so excited to get into it that you just got to get through this workout as best you can to be as prepped as possible, you know? So I'm excited. It's going to go great. We're going to get there at some point. You know, it's a slow move. We're climbing uphill, but it will balance out. I promise you that. You know, I'm not going to make the same mistake as I did last time where I would just throw the heaviest weight I can just because I feel slightly okay to do so. You know, that was the biggest issue. I'm adhering to the technique and the core first, and then we will get there when we get there. The weight doesn't matter. You know, we'll set a baseline and figure out exactly, because that's why I'm honestly glad I'm changing this when I'm getting close to the singles week. Because even if the max singles aren't that heavy, I'll have a number to base the rest of the weights on. Because I want it to be that way. You know, like when it comes to choosing weights for my triples, doubles, and singles, I don't want to just jump into it and be like, however heavy I want to. I want to have a weight in mind for those days so I don't overdo it and I can progress how a progressive overload should, you know? And so, you know, for example, if I clean and jerk, even if it's just 315 next week, let's say 325 just to be a little special. If I clean and jerk 325 next week, and I do it confidently, the technique's there, it's great, good lockout, all that, then I'll base the other lifts beyond that kind of off of that, you know, because if I want to build up to being able to hit that top heavy single, then I can't just be going as hard as I want on the volume weeks. So I'm going to really work on that and make it to where, like, if it's 315, 325, we'll do a double at something like 285, 295 at the heaviest. And then on my triples, I can do 275, 255, or sorry, 265 or 255 for the triples week, because then I can consistently increase the weights by the same kind of percentages without overdoing it on one specific week, you know? Something like that. I haven't really fully figured it out yet. I want to really make sure that I set this standard and then I add 10 pounds every cycle through so that I don't just go into it and go way, way too hard, you know? I'm going to figure it out as I go. There's a lot of thoughts in my brain. I want to make sure I sleep on it so I have a better logistic about it, you know, get everything really set up the way I exactly can imagine it going the best way possible, but it's going to get there one way or another. Physically, started horrifically, brought it back. Yeah, I can give it a solid 8.3, you know? The clean and jerk really tanked me today, but it did feel good. You know, it wasn't bad. The reps were okay. I did a single at 255 so that I could get used to how that might feel, and it immediately made me feel better. You know, if I had done singles the whole way through, I could have messed around a little bit more, and that would have been nice. But one way or another, it's going to get better. I'm not even worried about it. I'm so excited. So we will progress mentally. I'm going to say we're at a solid 8.6. Nothing crazy, but it's solid, you know? I'm confidently at that number because I have a clear goal. You know, one of the best things to get your passion going and to get your growth moving in the way that you want it to is to have the most clear and concise goal that you can have with a hard-ass passion driving behind it. I will be back tomorrow. I'm very, very excited. I'm telling you, I'm so excited to start this because these are the lifts that I love to do regardless of how heavy I go. I could care less how heavy I go. I love doing the hard technical recovery lifts, and I love being able to do a proper progressive overload that I earned. And so tomorrow will be, it'll be the technical accessory for snatch, and then consistent reppage at back squat, and we'll see what happens. Very, very, very excited. I will be back tomorrow. I love you guys. See you later. Bye.